Oh, hey, welcome into the Voice of College Football. It's a Friday. Hope you're doing well today. 4 p.m. Eastern Time is the time each and every day here at the Voice of College Football to hang out with me for a time, talk some college ball. We've got a loaded lineup of topics to get to, and we do appreciate you stopping by. Again, it's the College Football Show, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, excluding the 1 day per week that we move it to a late night show to be determined for next week. So leave your comments and questions for the chat, and also your suggestions on when you would like a late night call-in show next week. All right, my name's Mark. The Amazon link's in the description section of all the videos. When you shop on Amazon, please use the link that we provide. Let's kick off tonight's show with our buddy Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama talking Tide with us. We always appreciate Stephen stopping by. Stephen, what's going on?
Doing good, Mark. How about yourself? How you feeling?
I'm doing well. The summer has not quite gotten here on the calendar, but it's mighty warm for most of us. I'm guessing there in the state of Alabama, it's a bit muggy.
We've gotten some mugginess. We've gotten some humidity here, Mark. Apparently, it could be, hopefully not, but it could be the hottest summer recorded in quite some time. So we'll see what becomes of that. But we've gotten some rain. We've gotten sun. We've got a mixture of mugginess here today. A little bit more of the cloudy side. So not much sun today, but for the most part, on average, it's been pretty humid.
Stephen coaches some high school football there at Pell City, and also you can catch him as the co-host on Bama Standard right here on YouTube. Stephen, let's talk Tide. Of course, the SEC meetings were in Destin this week, and Kalen DeBoer and the rest of the crew from the SEC, the coaching contingent there, talking about some big topics as they typically do, but maybe a little bit bigger than usual because, man, there's so much going on with the NCAA and the SEC making its power play to kind of get as much influence over the sport as possible, put the sport in the right direction. Also, of course, SEC coaches talking about big matchups with the Big Ten and possibly making that more of a regular occurrence. Was there anything that Kalen DeBoer chimed in on that seemed to catch your ear?
I think the one thing that Coach DeBoer talked about was just his excitement about year two of being in this program, right? Year one was tough for him. It was a transition of you're filling in the shoes left behind by one of one, that being Nick Saban, the greatest to ever do it, and how big of a transition that was for him, especially in terms of the buy-in from players, the buy-in from fans, the buy-in from basically everybody. And year one, he had some good moments. The big win over Georgia, big win over Wisconsin, big win over LSU, good win over Auburn. But he also had some rough moments. The loss to Vanderbilt, the loss to Tennessee, the loss to Oklahoma, of course, the loss to Michigan in the bowl game. So we saw different pictures of Kalen DeBoer. But he spoke with a big confidence in the meetings because he understands, okay, this time around, I have the buy-in from everybody. We've got a lot of talent here on this roster. I have my offensive coordinator in Ryan Grubb back with me, so that's going to be fun to watch and see what this offense becomes. The guys defensively have a year under Ken Womack under their belt, so now year two in this 4-2-5 defense should be a sight to behold here. Just a bit more of a confident Kalen DeBoer at the podium in SEC spring meetings after what he experienced year one.
Stephen, you're headed in the same direction that I am looking at the offense here, because I don't know that a lot of people on the national scene take into consideration that Kalen DeBoer had a certain style of offense, especially when they got it high flying there in that run to the national championship game with Michael Penix and that downfield passing game. And then to go from that and then to change his system that drastically to try to play to the strengths of one Jalen Milroe, and just an entirely different skill set and different style of offense in regards to how much he would use the backs and so forth. But to have Ryan Grubb back as the OC seems to be, definitely a big plus.
It is. And then to have Nick Sheridan remain on staff as a quarterback coach, and I think that was huge as well. Sheridan played quarterback at Michigan, under both Lloyd Carr and Rich Rodriguez. So he understands the changing of coaches, having different people in your ear, trying to glean and learn different things. Sheridan has experience with that. So to have him remain on staff as the quarterback coach and allowing Ryan Grubb to return to, with DeBoer, run this offense the way he wants to do that, it's exciting. And one of the things going back to spring practice that I saw, Mark, was more of a quarterback taking the ball from under center again and handing the ball off to the running back. Some pro-style stuff right there. I miss seeing that this past season due to you have a Jalen Milroe who is just so versatile as a runner. He's so explosive as a runner that you want to have him do his thing, but it does take from the running backs that you recruit, right? You could see some frustration from Justice Haynes last year, who's now at Michigan via the transfer portal now. You saw some frustration from a Jam Miller last year, who's at Alabama, back at Alabama, or Richard Young last year, who's back at Alabama. So as good as Milroe was running the football, as dynamic as he was, and now in the NFL looking to do something for the Seahawks, it's good to see Grubb in the fold at Alabama, getting you back to establishing that run game with your running backs.
Stephen, what we've been removed from for a few seasons here, even at the end of the Saban tenure, talking about offense and wanting to move the ball down the field and become more of a pro-style passing offense, would be Bama went on one of the best runs we've seen in recent college football, right there with Clemson, Ohio State, in regards to wide receiver talent, where they always had two superstars. We're talking about for a good 6 to 8 years, two superstars, and even the 3 and 4 guys were exceptional and 5-star type athletes. And now Ryan Williams, obviously, he fits that bill. We'll see if he continues to develop, fill out, and so forth. But how does that Alabama wide receiver core look?
I think it's the deepest. I think it's the deepest Mark it's been in a long time, and this is a wide receiver room that potentially can challenge that wide receiver room we saw 2017, 2018, and 19 with Jerry Jeudy, with Henry Ruggs, with Devontae Smith, with Jalen Waddle. And I understand it. I just named first-round picks with the guys I just named, but the wide receivers in this room now can challenge those guys when you discuss Ryan Williams, who, by the way, has been working out with Devontae Smith this all season. Look at that right there. You have a Jeremy Bernard transfer from Washington who had a very good year last year. Bernard, 50 catches, almost 800 yards, 798, a couple of touchdowns down the stretch last season. He kind of became that go-to guy for Jalen Milroe. Then you add in Isaiah Horton, transfer from Miami, with what he did with Cam Ward. Now he gets to put the final polish on his college career at Alabama prior to pursuing the NFL. That's big there for Horton. You got a Rico Scott, young man that can play some serious ball as a receiver. You've got Latsia Brooks, a freshman that had an incredible spring. I mean, this guy is just phenomenal in space as an athlete. It's just so many different guys, Mark, across the board that can give you a little bit of everything. Jamarcus Shepard, the wide receivers coach, he is giddy with the group that he gets a chance to work with here.
Stephen M. Smith, of course, co-host there at the Bama Standard. Bama didn't reach that standard at 9-4 last year. Stephen reaches that standard every time he hits the airwaves here. So we appreciate Stephen. Been joining us for a long, long time. The defense, does it have a chance to be elite, and maybe a guy or two that you really like that we may not know a whole lot about?
It's got a chance to, Mark, and it starts with the defensive line. I mean, the defensive line for the first time, it's as deep as it's been since that 2016-2017 group. And that's when you have A'Shawn Robinson, Jaron Reed, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, those types of players, Quinnen Williams. It's that deep again across the board. Freddie Roach has a group, led by Tim Keenan, LT Overton back, James Smith. You've got Jordan Renard, Edric Hill, Jeremiah Beeman. You got dudes. But it comes down to, can Freddie Roach pop out the numbers with these guys? Because they all have talent. These are all former 4 and 5 stars. But can Freddie pop out the numbers with these young men? That's going to be the tale of a tape. Another tale of a tape is that inside linebacker Deontay Lawson, coming back from a leg injury he suffered last year against Oklahoma, the 6'2", 240-pounder from Mobile, Alabama, former 4-star. How healthy will he be coming back for fall camp this August? He didn't go in spring ball, healing up from surgery from that leg injury. DeBoer is excited to see him back, but will go for fall camp. But I'm looking forward to seeing Deontay Lawson. But I think the secondary, Mark, is what has most people excited. You got guys that were young last year that have time on task now with Xavier Brown, with Brayson Hubbard. You bring back Keon Sabb. You've got Damani Jackson back, Deshaun Jones back. You have talented freshman Dijon Lee at 6'4" with the 6'8" wingspan. Looks like an Avatar character out there moving, but very deep, multiple in the secondary there. So for Kane Womack, the biggest thing for him is going to be stopping the run. Last year, Bama had some teams get a lot of yardage off of it in the run game. So stopping the run in this 4-2-5. And then number two, developing those closers that can affect the quarterback, finishing on sacks. LT Overton had several opportunities where he could have had double-digit sacks or tackle for loss numbers, did not finish those plays. Quay Russol's dropped about 10 pounds now at an outside linebacker position, so he's gotten faster, getting to the quarterback. So being able to have closers to finish plays in the backfield, but most importantly, stopping the opposing run game, two of the biggest factors for Kane Womack in this defense in the upcoming season if it wants to be a top 3 to top 5 group.
Stephen, of course, you're so connected to high school football, not just on the collegiate level, but in the high school ranks there in Alabama. So June is a month where there's tons of camps, and it's a focus not just on 2026, but 2027 and beyond that. But looking at Bama's class for 26, what Kalen DeBoer and his staff is working on, and a big official weekend of visits coming up this weekend. Who are some guys that you're looking at that Bama wants to make an impression on?
Sierra Morgan at wide receivers one. You definitely want to get that young man, a very talented, very versatile receiver. You want to get him, and then you got the Jet Williams kid, or the Jet Washington kid, as a defensive back, a safety. You want to make a good impression on him to keep that defensive backfield growing. And then you got the Johnson kid at linebacker. I really like him, and I know Kane Womack is high on him as well, getting that young man to visit here this week. But the biggest thing, Mark, is going to be for Alabama is selling these kids on this is why Alabama is still that program in terms of dominance. These kids have become so used to, when I see Nick Saban come off the jet, that's my guy, right? When Nick Saban walks into my high school, I'm coming to Alabama. Kalen DeBoer has got to keep that vibe of, even though Saban has transitioned firmly to TV, he's with ESPN, kudos to him on winning the Emmy. I'm Kalen DeBoer. I'm still running this program at a very high level. So that's what he and this coaching staff have got to sell these kids on, because you go back to last year, Hugh Freeze had a lot of success for Auburn in in-state recruiting. Had a lot of success there. Hugh Freeze has got his quarterback, and he's got his quarterback. He's got receivers at Auburn right now. So the biggest thing for Coach DeBoer, winning the in-state battle in terms of recruiting first, but then most importantly, having all of these young men understand that we're still pulling in the top recruits when you talk about Alabama football.
And we've got Stephen M. Smith on the line. You can catch him on the Bama Standard. So, Stephen, if people are looking for your show, where can they find it?
They can find it on YouTube. The show I have there, Bama Vision. They can find that every Monday, 9 a.m. Central Time on YouTube. Every Monday, 9 a.m. Central. The Bama Standard show is every Tuesday on YouTube, 6 p.m. Central. Right then, of course, I'm at Pale City High School coaching these kids. We got several guys that are on the rise of Division I offers, especially we got some guys on defense that I am really excited to see some coaches get their eyes on these young men because they're out there competing here as we got a chance to finish spring ball. So the guys are staying hydrated here throughout the summer, and they're ready to get after it once we get preseason camp going.
Well, we're going to see the calendar flip to June on Sunday. So before you know it, about 6 weeks away from SEC Media Days. Stephen, we hope to have you back here soon to talk some Bama football here before training camp. Appreciate you, and great to see you as always, sir.
Absolutely, Mark. Hey, enjoy your day, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You too.
All right.
There's our guy that's, man, I do not have a tracking or listing of this, but Stephen might have joined us earlier than anybody on the map, and especially anybody who's still on our guest list here at the Voice of College Football. Mighty impressive from Stephen M. Smith. Amazon links in the description section of all the videos. When you shop on Amazon, please use the link that we provide. No, I'm not going to say what I was about to say. And it had nothing to do with any of you or shopping the Amazon link. It had to do with a comment made on another show, which will lead me to this. I was on Juck on Bucks, and he did a remarkable job. It's the first time we've exchanged conversation, and we're going to have Juck on here in the next few weeks, but it was great to be on Juck on Bucks. You can check that out on his channel. Had a nice little 50-minute conversation on college football, both past, present, and future. And then, of course, Steve Dace was here yesterday. So if you've yet to check out the Steve Dace live stream, please do. It's well worth it. I always get the funny comments. There's always a few out there after I have Steve on. And I even said it before Steve came on. I said, I cut the guy loose. Not that I need to. He's always ready to roll. But my approach is I've got a channel here 24/7. I have probably, no, I won't even say probably. It's almost a definite that my face and my voice has been on the internet, on YouTube, in college football circles. I have more content out there with my face on it and my voice than anybody. I can come on here anytime and rant and ramble on forever. So I've got a platform. I don't need an invitation from anyone. Just jump on here and talk whenever I want. So when I get Steve on here, unless I disagree with him, if he says something that I disagree with, I'll jump in. But otherwise, I just let him go. I just let him go because I can talk all the time. So we have limited time with Steve, and hope to get him here, let's say once a month. We will shoot for that. How about that? Zach Smith next week. Brian Driscoll, hopefully next week of Irish Breakdown. Zach Smith from Menace to Sports, and a whole lot of great guests coming on board here at the Voice of College Football, as always. Man, I've got a loaded lineup in regards to stuff I want to get to, but before we do that, the book is Disputed National Champions. Don't take my word for it. Take the word of college football fans. We have yet to receive a poor response on this from either people that we know here online or people I have never met, never seen, don't know their handles, don't know their names, that are leaving tremendous comments. So we appreciate that. Disputed National Champions, again, it's got a 100% to date favorable response. I believe you will love it as well. So don't take my word for it. Take the word of college football fans. Yes, Disputed National Champions. Our On the Move show is coming up Wednesday. So we just had it 2 nights ago. We'll have it again coming up on Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern time, taking your calls. And of course, most importantly, Leanne Herring with her recruiting and transfer portal intel. As a single individual, not connected to On3, Rivals, 247 Sports, I don't know who gets out there and talks to more players and coaches than Leanne. You'd have to bring that person to the table. Again, not connected to a major corporation, because that obviously is a huge, enormous advantage. So we appreciate Leanne. We got our Wednesday night show, and we would love for all of you to show up. All right. I expect to produce a video here, and I will thank the Real MVP for spurring me on, because I used to just every time there was anything to talk about concerning college football that could be broken down, I was going to produce a video. But that's not necessarily the best route for me these days. So I don't produce too many videos. We are basing this channel on a live show at this point, but I will still produce videos from time to time. And I started to take notes and go through this Greg Sankey 5-11 format. 5 highest ranked conference champions, and then the 11 at-large bids. And I've gone through, and I need to continue. I've got a few more years to track to see what that would have looked like college football playoff era. So we will present that. Of course, we've got a bit of an issue back when the Pac-12 existed. So I'm going to run through the numbers of the 5-11, 5+11 model, but also considering basically the concept or the approaches that all of the major power conference champions will be entered in. But then one more bid goes out to the highest of the group of 5. So I ran through the numbers for the 5+11, but also a 6+10 model as well. What I find the most interesting in all of this, looking backwards, and then we're going to see it going forwards, and we get a glimpse of this in the 12-team playoff in regards to Bama, South Carolina, Ole Miss in particular, and BYU. Let's not forget the Cougars at 10-2, having the Cougars at 10-2 and SMU at 11-2, and with BYU defeating SMU head-to-head. We did have a situation where what's going to be interesting to me, and if you look back, if you love college football history, recent history especially, and you look at the results and the rankings from previous seasons, you see how many teams are left out that have just as much of a resume and an argument to make the playoff. I'll just throw out 1 year. Let's grab 1 year here. 2016. 2016. These are all the teams that would miss a 16-team playoff. And like many of you, I'm not crying for anybody who's going to miss a 16-team playoff, because if you can't be roughly one of the 16 best teams in the country, then you've got nothing to cry about. But to be fair, there will be teams left out that have just as good a resume and argument as teams that are going to make it. There's going to be difficult choices to be made. Listen to 2016. These are the teams left out that have as good a record or better record than teams that made it. Stanford 9-3, Virginia Tech 9-4, Florida, Tennessee, Utah, and Pitt all went 8-4. And you think 8-4 shouldn't be making the playoffs, but there were other teams that would make the playoffs at 8-4 in 2016. So you're talking about 6 teams, and we're talking about major teams. I'm not pulling Memphis or UNLV out there. I'm talking about power conference teams, 6 of them in 2016. It's just an example that would be left out of a 16-team field with just as good a record or better record than teams that made it. It's going to be quite interesting. So be looking out for that video. We'll hopefully get that knocked out this weekend. Again, we'll do the 5+11 and the 6+10. And then I guess we should tackle, although I may have taken this on, I got to go look. Did I post a video with the 442213? I believe I did. I'll have to go back and look to see, because I think that that was quite interesting as well. Now, this past season, the 442213 means that everything would have been the same, except the Big 12 only got 1 team. They would have gotten 1 other team outside the top 16 that would have had to elevate or into the top 16, and that's BYU. So if you just take the 1 through 16 in 2024, BYU's out, but you employ the 4-4-2-2-1-3, and BYU gets knocked up from, poor choice of words, gets elevated from 17 to 16, especially considering the school I was talking about. Don't know if anybody caught that. All right. Edward says, I hear rumblings that Georgia is going to take a step back. Well, Edward, with all due respect, I don't really know what you're implying there, that they're on the decline. I don't know that you have to hear rumblings about it. That makes it sound like it's factual. Like I hear rumblings that Kirby Smart's going to get fired. That would be something that you would hear rumblings about, like a move being made. But is Georgia on the decline? I don't really see it myself. I believe that their team this past season, that was probably the worst Georgia team. And this is talking about how amazing they've been. Georgia's been this amazing. They went to the college football playoff. They won the SEC, arguably the best conference. Actually, still the best conference in college football, top to bottom. Sorry, Big Ten fans. Still the best conference. The SEC is the best conference. As of last year, 2024, top to bottom, Georgia won the conference. They beat Texas twice. They went to the playoff. They checked off all the boxes. They were the number 2 seed in the playoff. Bad season. That's a bad season. Georgia had a bad season, and they won the SEC, and they were the number 2 seed in the country, and they beat Texas twice. They had a bad season. They had their worst season. I think that this was the worst Georgia football team that we saw in 2024 since 2016. 2017 team was better. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Certainly, of course, they won the national championship in 23. They went undefeated in the regular season. Yes, this was the worst Georgia team, and it was one of the 5 best teams in the country, roughly. Although you stack up Penn State, Notre Dame, Oregon, maybe they weren't one of the top, but they were right there, 5 or 6. And this is the worst team that they have fielded in 8 years. So there is something to that, Edward. I'm not saying that there's not. They are not going to have an accomplished quarterback. So when is the last time Georgia stepped on the field with a quarterback? Well, I guess in 2023, Carson Beck's first year as the starter, he was unproven. Jake Fromm, not proven in 2017, led this team to a national championship game, and not his fault that his defense gave up a 2nd and 26 touchdown in overtime to lose. But that's the deal on the Georgia football team. And we got a Georgia football channel, of course. You can catch Matt Green every, I believe, Tuesday night. Check out the schedule for the big Georgia rundown over there. Ryan, we appreciate you being here. Member for a month. So Ryan is reminding me that we got memberships, folks. You can become a member here on YouTube or over on Patreon. Join the community. And as soon as I can figure it out, the thing that I would love to add to this channel, besides about 1 million subscribers, true subscribers, after that, or a major sponsor, or maybe the list is a little bit longer than this, but it's still fairly high on the list. So I'd like to be able to figure out how to bypass YouTube in such a way that we could, let's see, could we do it that way? No. Anyway, that we could do a watch party every month. I would love to do a watch party. I know we announced that a few weeks ago because I thought I had it figured out, but we can't afford the strike. Cannot afford to be slapped on the wrist by YouTube. I don't mind being slapped on the wrist, but when you've already been slapped on the wrist, you get slapped on the wrist again, and you're very close to having your wrist broken. So watch parties. So we do encourage you to join us here at the Voice of College Football. Keep in mind that we're only about 3 months away from games on the field, and dare I say, I pick the games about as well as any amateur out there. Do not pretend to be a handicapper or a odds maker or anything like that. Not a professional. I don't spend a lot of time making my picks, but they are pretty stellar most of the time. But Ryan is saying here, as a Badger fan, I'm a realistic fan. Wisconsin has fallen several levels under Luke Fickell. National media has shown that by putting Wisconsin Bama at 11 a.m., which means noon. Okay, we're going to get to those. So, Ryan, let's feed off of your comment right there and go to the schedule of Big Ten games. This was released just here in the last day or so. But again, please grab your membership here at the Voice of College Football. Become a part of the community and what we're building right here. Help us get to 100,000 subs. I think we're working against a little collusion and conspiracy theory that I have. So help us push against that. And tell your friends, tell your family, any acquaintances on social media, any contacts that you have that love college football, join us right here. Let's blow this up and give it a look. So to play off of Ryan's thought there, I believe, Ryan, depending on what network is showing that game, that I'm going to disagree with you. Maybe not, because that is a road game. So that's got to be an ESPN or ABC game. All right. So the Big Ten released a lot of its dates. The dates were already there. Of course, I'm talking about the kickoff times and the network. So on Thursday, the opening weekend of the season, look out, Rutgers. Upset alert. Ohio comes to town. The Bobcats, 6 p.m. Eastern time on the Big Ten Network. Buffalo at Minnesota, that's on FS1. Nebraska at Cincinnati on ESPN. And Miami of Ohio taking on Wisconsin as part of a doubleheader on BTN. So that Thursday night, and this does not even take into account, obviously, possibly some other games outside the conference, although that ESPN time slot at 9 p.m. Eastern time might be the only ESPN game. But that's enough for me right there. I have interest in all of those games. I really do. I think Wisconsin's susceptible. Rutgers, I think Ohio's, obviously, Tim Albin's built a great thing there, but he's moved on. Buffalo, Minnesota. Minnesota has a history of struggling against MAC teams early. And then, of course, Nebraska, Cincinnati, a Power 4 matchup, Big 12, Big 10. On Friday, Western Michigan and Michigan State. This seems to be pretty regular that Michigan State is taking on a MAC directional school on a Friday night. And then Western Illinois at Illinois. It's going to be on Peacock. Am I going to order it at that point in the season? I think not. Don't really care. I should be okay with the Michigan State Western Michigan game and whatever else outside the Big Ten is being shown on that particular night. So again, for the Big Ten to protect its reputation, I think Rutgers, Minnesota, and Wisconsin are on shaky ground, that there are odds that say most likely that one of them is going to go down on that Thursday night. Okay, on Saturday, it's over, but all the crying from generally Ohio State fans that wanted this game in prime time, most of them, not going to happen. Fox owns the contract. I don't understand what we're arguing about. I don't understand what people... That doesn't mean you can't have your preference of when you want the games to be played. Of course, I want to hear your preference. But for those people that think, objectively night games are better than day games. That's not the case. Not objectively, they're not better. And also that this is some kind of surprise. Why is this some kind of surprise? Fox owns Big Ten games. Fox owns Big Ten non-conference games played in Big Ten stadiums. We've seen this coming forever. Why did we think Fox was magically going to move off of noon Eastern? That's their big game. Okay. Couple garbage games followed by Northwestern at Tulane. Interesting matchup. ESPNU at noon. Penn State, shame on you. Pathetic. Horrible. It's unfathomable. As Penn State University, one of the great football programs in America, you scheduled no one. Terrible. I'm shaking my finger at Rutgers, Maryland. Some other schools are in that mix. Those two come to mind. There's a few others in the Big Ten. Rutgers and Maryland, though, for sure. And Penn State. Play no one. It's pathetic. It is pathetic. Any other decent games here? Oregon hosting Montana State, Iowa hosting Albany, Michigan hosting New Mexico. That's going to be a NBC primetime game. Michigan hosting the Lobos. Beautiful. USC's on the Big Ten Network. Washington is as well. And UCLA is on Fox, taking on Utah. Okay, we got a decent game there. Utah at UCLA. Strike up the old Pac-12 feel there. I apologize that I have not left the link in the chat. We'll take your calls. Anything you'd like to talk about concerning college football. And like to say hi to Jackson, Mike 3883, Timothy, Edward, Kookie G, Pharma Paradox 1, Edward, Chad, appreciate you being here. Steve, I have no issue with you saying that, Steve. You have every right. I don't want to take away anybody's right to voice your opinion and your preference. I'm just saying objectively, night games are not better than day games. And because you play at night doesn't mean it's a big game at night, and it's not a big game during the day. That's ridiculous to think that in this day and age. All you have to do is pick up a TV schedule from any day, any week in college football, and you will see big games during the day. You will see lousy games at night, and vice versa. But your preference, and many Ohio State fans, I would guess at least 80%, and probably out of the other 20%, they didn't necessarily demand that the game be played during the day or prefer it during the day. They just didn't care, kind of like me. So, Steve, we appreciate it. Steve, so that is a great comment by you. And I cannot prove that the SEC is still a better conference than the Big Ten. But the indicators, the analysis, the metrics, the scores, I'm talking top to bottom, all the way to the bottom, is that the SEC is still better. But does that really matter? When the Big Ten has won back-to-back national championships, and it's not like it was just one team. It wasn't like Clemson ruling the ACC for 5 or 6 years, and they still do basically, but for 5 or 6 years, we're able to go into the playoffs and be a strong representative for the ACC. And then there was nothing else. No, that's not the Big Ten. There was Oregon. There was Penn State. in addition to Ohio State. So there were other elite teams. It wasn't an Oklahoma situation in the Big 12 for years and years and years where they were the only team. Ohio State a few times, the only team in the Big 10. And then, of course, in 2023, when Michigan won, Ohio State was still one of the 5 best teams in the country. And Penn State was really good. So the Big 10 has nothing, does not need to back down from any conversation concerning being the best. I find all legitimacy in any Big 10 fan or pundit who wants to say the Big 10 is the best conference. I have no issue with that. I do not believe that it's true, but it's close. It's close. Let's say that. It is close. We've got Adam chiming in. We appreciate your contributions, sir. What I should have done was say, Adam, I'm going to make some kind of proclamation or bet offer that before I read this super chat that it's about Drew Aller. I knew it. Mark, Drew Aller and Penn State are finished. Aller will bomb at Ohio State and Iowa, and Penn State gets upset by UCLA. Aller will throw horrible interceptions in each game. Man, it almost sounds like Adam has watched game film on Drew Aller and he's watched like the All 22 and all the game film that he can collect on Drew Aller. I will take any wager that involves Penn State losing 3 games. I will take 2.5 and under. Absolutely, I will. I'm not saying it's not possible. They could lose 3 games. Yeah, they can lose all those games that you're talking about right there. They could lose those games. And again, I think it's pathetic that Penn State is not playing anyone outside the conference. Any teams that do that, now there are some exceptions, and I know as soon as I raise this, people are going to think I'm making excuses for Ohio State. But they are the facts that they had a game scheduled against Washington. And obviously, Washington joined the Big 10. So that changed things. And so they canceled. But I thought it was horrible that Ohio State did not play anyone outside the conference last year. I have a video. You could look it up. I am trashing Ohio State in 2019 for playing no power conference opponents. They played Cincinnati, who was pretty good, but they did not play anyone in the power conferences. So I do my best to confront the bias and work against it. Matthew was letting us know that Mark Bowman won't sign with USC. I know nothing about that situation. He will be signed with Texas when that time comes. I only know the name. I don't know what position he plays. I know nothing about it. Matthew says, I made a video about the Mark Bowman situation. It was called Soft by Ohio State Fans. And so, Matthew, check out the video, or everyone check out Matthew's video on the Texas channel concerning Mark Bowman. Yeah, Texas, Ohio State, great game. Should be a great game. It's a great matchup. And we've narrowed it down to this, at least Troy has, and I can't argue with this. There are 3 truths in life, I believe. Life, death, and Adam hates Drew Aller. I don't know. I think we're going to have to start to investigate something here with Drew Aller. I don't know if he... Yeah, I just don't realize that there's anything there with Drew Aller. Maybe he said that he hates Adam's favorite band or something. I don't know what it is. We'll have to look at Drew Aller's Twitter, possibly. Yes, Matthew, I know you're talking about the time of the game for Ohio State and Texas. That's what I commented on. Okay, so these are the games again with the Big Ten involved in the first few weeks of the season. The second week of the season, we've got little to go on here. Little to go on. Indiana, that's the other pathetic school out there. Pathetic athletic department, athletic director. It's disgusting. It's deplorable. You should be ashamed of yourself for not scheduling anyone, for scheduling 3 scrimmage games. It's pathetic. Okay, Kennesaw State, whoever they are, they just joined the FBS. Penn State, again, pathetic. See, this is when we've got people out there like Joel Klatt. Can't think of anybody else that comes to mind because I don't watch podcasts. I assume Reese Davis has a podcast. Everybody's got a podcast now. Kirk Herbstreit's got a podcast, I'm sure. I know he had one. He had one like 5 or 6 years ago. So he's got a podcast. Joel Klatt, Reese Davis. I think Fox has one with the guy. I can't think of his name. Rob Stone. Yes, that does their college football hosting. So everybody's got a podcast. But out of these guys that have a national audience, we, of course, have a national audience, but I mean a large national audience. And maybe they do get on these teams. I don't know. I don't see anybody out there from what I've gathered, and it usually comes back to me, even though I don't watch that stuff. You know, I spent like 2 hours yesterday listening to Charlie Kirk debate a bunch of university students from Cambridge. That's the stuff that I listen to. That with their platforms, I would love for them to go after, but they just don't. They seem a bit more reserved than what we are. I would be out there challenging people. Yeah, and maybe that's one thing that's held me back. I spout off a little bit more than most concerning a lot of egregious things in life beyond football, even. And it's pathetic. The athletic director, the administration, but the athletic director in particular, it's not the football coach's problem, should be held accountable and should be called out, should be challenged, should be interviewed. Maybe I'll go after interviews of the Indiana, Penn State, Maryland, Rutgers ADs for their complete inability to schedule a legitimate non-conference game. It's pathetic. So anyway, on week 2, we've got Iowa State. They always play the second week of the season. That game is a Fox game at noon. So I don't remember Iowa State ever being a big noon kickoff. I don't believe that it has ever been a big noon kickoff. They usually play every other year, obviously, in Iowa City. So, or yes, I get them mixed in Ames. So that would be another network, would be the ABC Disney family dealing with that matchup. Illinois and Duke, I like that one. Oklahoma State's going to get trampled at Oregon. You would think, I can't even remember off the top of my head who's going to be the quarterback at Oklahoma State. We had our OK State guy, Cody Stovall, on here a couple weeks ago, and he talked about it, but I have not retained his name. I think I'm going to go out and hopefully grab some of these preseason publications. They should be out. It's supposed to be Labor Day week or Memorial Day weekend in which those are released. I don't like Grambling State and Ohio State, but Ohio State's playing Texas. So it's on BTN at 3:30 in the afternoon. And what's crazy about that is that will be the Big Ten Network's probably, that will be a top 5 highest rated game for BTN the entire season. even though it's going to be 59-0. Rutgers plays Miami of Ohio, another upset alert for Greg Schiano's bunch. So they've got 2 MAC opponents to open the season, and they could lose both of the games. And then Wisconsin against Middle Tennessee State. All right, I can get into Boston College, Michigan State. They played a good game last year. And then, of course, Michigan, Oklahoma. I will be all over that one. Of course, John Mateer. And we also have the new running back coming in from Cal, Jaden Ott, to bolster the Oklahoma offense against that stout Michigan defense. And, of course, Bryce Underwood most likely is the starter for Michigan. That should be a treat. The rest of the schedule, forget it. Although UNLV playing at home against UCLA, if Barry Odom left the cupboard stocked even halfway from a really good team last year, and Dan Mullen comes in, and say what you will about Dan Mullen, and I have for years. I've posted a lot of Dan Mullen videos about what a moron he is and the stupid things that he does off the field. He's a really good football coach, especially on the offensive side, of course. Dan Mullen, look at what he did at Mississippi State, and I know it did not end well at Florida, but look at what he did at Florida when Jim McElwain and Will Muschamp continued to falter at Florida. He was ripping off BCS bowl wins. So, interesting game there. I like it in prime time. I'm going to have difficulty between those 3 games, and there's probably other ones, of course. But BC, Michigan State, Michigan, Oklahoma, of course, the headliner. UCLA at UNLV. Sneaky good game. Okay, the next Friday, week 3. Yeah. Okay. All right. Nothing there to watch. Hopefully there will be a Friday night game for us to watch on ESPN. On Saturday, we begin some Big Ten play with Oregon at Northwestern. Nothing speaks Big Ten history like that. Wisconsin at Alabama, that's an ABC ESPN game. That's what our guy, Mr. Willie, was alluding to. Wisconsin, Alabama playing at noon. Yeah. They played at noon last year. That was a Fox game, but they played at noon. ESPN and ABC schedule after their primetime games. You can't really distinguish between their noon games and their 3:30 games in regards to prestige. We could go through ABC and ESPN's noon schedule from the last 5 years, and you would see a ton of really excellent matchups. So, whatever. I know you don't like that, apparently. And that's, of course, 11 a.m. for those fine folks, both in Alabama and in Wisconsin. Nebraska playing no one. And look at the rest of that slate. Look at the non-conference slate in the Big Ten after that Wisconsin-Alabama game. Nebraska playing Houston Christian. Michigan playing Central Michigan. Maryland against Towson. They seem to play that game every year. Penn State against Villanova. And this is not the Raleigh-Massimino Villanova team of 1985. Rutgers, Norfolk State, Michigan State, Youngstown State. This is just USC going to Purdue. CBS, get our buddies Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson fired up for that one. Ohio, good little football team playing Ohio State on Peacock in Western Michigan against Illinois. Certainly want to see your comments there in the chat. Minnie showing up. Good to see you, along with, again, Matthew, Troy, Adam, and others. Brandon's here, too, who's happy to see Michigan, Oklahoma on primetime, of course, that being an ABC/Disney game. That's going to be a primetime game. Michigan, Oklahoma. I am psyched about that one too. I think that's going to be a heck of a matchup. Oh, Drew, yes, I can't help it. I do. Mark watches Charlie Kirk dunk on dumb college kids. And I try so hard not to get in the comment section and talk about how dumb these college kids are, because I know that that's just some of them. It's not all of them. I've got two that just passed college age, and I am mighty proud of them. And I know that there are some mighty intelligent college kids out there. Not all of them are morons. Nebraska will be going to Michigan, or welcoming Michigan, going into the Michigan game at 3-0. I would hope so. But as noted on Minnie's fine show last night, whatever it's called, it's a Thursday night show with Greg. Nebraska is a touchdown favorite. They're a touchdown favorite. Now, whether they prove to be a much better team than that, I don't know. But that's not necessarily a vote of confidence coming from Vegas about the Nebraska football team. Playing Cincinnati, neutral site, and they're a touchdown favorite. There are how many touchdown plus favorites every week that lose? Usually 5, 6. I'm just saying, if Vegas knows what it's doing, and they typically do, that is not a great indicator for the Nebraska football season. Hate to be the harbinger of doom and gloom from that standpoint, from the betting standpoint. If Oregon's playing Cincinnati at a neutral site, they're a 3-touchdown favorite. At least they're a 25-point favorite. Ohio State's a 4-touchdown favorite. Penn State's a 25-point favorite. Illinois is probably a 10-point favorite. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe. USC's got to be more than a touchdown favorite against Cincinnati. Minnesota's probably, with Minnesota and Iowa, I don't know that the point spread really, as much as with other teams, indicates the quality of the team because they play close to the vest. Iowa's not a substantial favorite or underdog to anyone. Everybody they line up against, unless it's Ohio State the last 2 times that they've played them and they've been a 30-point underdog, they're usually a marginal, just field goal favorite, field goal underdog, 5-point underdog, 5-point favorite. But that's just, I was a bit surprised by that point spread. Minnie's enjoying the college football show poolside today. You know, I've got a thought myself about that one. It is mighty toasty outside. And when I get done here, I do have a quick meeting, but then we may be able to work some things out. Drew is letting me know that I'm behind in the chat. Well, there must be an issue with the chat, because the last comment I've got is, oh, we're getting some sad news veering off of college football here. Rest in peace to country music legend Loretta. Oh, Loretta Swit. I thought we were going to say Loretta Lynn. So Loretta Swit of MASH fame. Okay. Good show. Funny show that I've watched a zillion times through, start to finish. So sad to see that. Back to college football. And I believe I'm done with my week 3 analysis. UMass at Iowa. Yeah. Okay. I can do this late night here. Minnesota Cal. Of course, I'm going to be sitting here, most likely, God willing, talking to all of you late night on that Saturday night while the Minnesota Cal game is going on. Okay, this is when we kick in with our Friday night Fox Big Ten games. Iowa at Rutgers, perfectly placed Friday night. Rutgers owned Fox on Friday night last. They played Washington. They played USC. Did they play another Friday night game? That's probably the restriction. 2 games. Okay, here we go with Saturday's action. And it's already after 5 o'clock, and I had a lot to talk about today, but we may save this stuff for Monday because, wow, I've got a lot of stuff to go off on. Michigan, Nebraska is a 3:30 CBS game with Nestler and Danielson. Purdue at Notre Dame. Boy, that was a bloodletting last year, 66-7. Apple Cups at 7:30 Eastern on CBS. I love to see that series is still intact. Saturday, the last Saturday of September, Oregon, Penn State. What a game that will be, we think. Indiana, Iowa. And then we do not have network placements for the rest of these games for the most part. We do have these Friday night games. So there we go. Another Rutgers. Look at Rutgers on Friday night. This is tremendous. September 19th, Rutgers at home against Iowa on a Friday night. And then the next Friday game on Fox must be a Big 12 game because it's not listed here. So it must be a Big 12 game. Then they get back to the Big 10, and it's Rutgers again, this time at Washington. Our next Friday game involving the Big 10 is Nebraska and Minnesota. Sign me up for that one. Always like when those two get together. USC Notre Dame is going to be a night game on NBC on October 18th. And then here we go. Another Friday game. Northwestern at USC. Another Friday game. Minnesota at Oregon. I like it. That's a nice little Friday night game. Then, of course, Black Friday. Iowa, Nebraska, Indiana, Purdue. And then there's this kind of discarded game at the end of the season. Ohio State and Michigan. All right. I don't know if anyone cares much about that. Yes, well done by you, Minnie. Frank Burns eats worms. Frank Burns is one of the great characters in the history of comedic television. Absolutely. Minnie says MASH is her all-time favorite TV show. I would put it in my top 15 to 20. Top 15 to 20 for me, which is extremely high. I shared a TV ratings list that I came across on social media from 1965, and I sent it to my buddy, and he said, that might be the single most greatest year of sitcom television in the history of the medium. And I said, you know what? It might be. I looked over that list and I thought, that's about as good as it would ever get on network television. But yes, we are saddened by that news. Coming to the fine city of Lincoln, Nebraska for the Nebraska-Michigan game. Well, I would have a good time. There's no doubt about that. It's under consideration. It's under consideration. So I wanted to get to, I apologize, I do not have that set up. I have other things here. Oh, Lord. Do not give me updates at this point. I don't want to see updates. They get in my way. I can't click on certain things because I've got updates and I don't see a X to get rid of them. All right, we'll do this. I got to admit, for as much as I complain at times, and I apologize, nobody should be complaining, least of all me, that I complain at times about Twitterverse. Can you guys all see that? No, you can't. All right. That's our website, by the way. VOCFB.com. We're posting articles just about every day, and we are hiring writers, so we're getting things ramped up. So be patient with us, but we believe it's worthy to be checked out right now. VOCFB.com. There are at least 75 articles posted now. So please sign up, register, then you can join in the forums there. VOCFB.com. I feel a bit like George W. Bush saying mission accomplished, when in fact, it's just the beginning of VOCFB.com. But for us, mission accomplished in regards to we got everything together and we launched the site. But the mission just starting, basically. All right. This was fun. Let's see. Juck on Bucks again. I appreciate him. We're going to have him on here. And okay. I've addressed this before. This is unbelievable, the stupidity here. Now, Seinfeld would not be in my top 20. It's a great show. It was way ahead of its time in regards to writing. Way ahead of its time. But I can't go back and watch it now. It just does nothing for me. But a great show. Great all-time show. Absolutely. Okay. So back to this business. Do you know what's going on here with Mike Leach? God rest his soul. But in regards to his candidacy for the Hall of Fame, now this is a great example of doing something that's right, but not doing it correctly. Oh my word. So there is this complete asinine rule in the College Football Hall of Fame that no coach is eligible unless he has won 60% of his games. Okay. I believe in standards, of course. We're adults here. When you are policing 5-year-olds, you have rules. When you are determining honors like the Hall of Fame, then you have guidelines. Guidelines mean we consider this number, this standard, we give it high consideration. And if we are considering somebody who has not met this standard, they must have other great qualifications. It is a guideline. It should be a guideline, not a rule. This is so freaking stupid. It's unbelievable. How stupid are these people? And their idiocy has been pointed out to them over and over and over and over, and they still don't get it right. Okay. So this is On3 reporting that the College Football Hall of Fame, which again has a standard of needing to win 60% of your games to be eligible for the Hall of Fame, that they have now dropped that to 59.5. So we are going to have a case, I don't know, a year from now, 3 years from now, 13 years from now, where we're going to have another coach who has earned consideration for the Hall of Fame, but his winning percentage is going to be 59.3. This is the stupidest thing. They are changing a rule for one individual. That is not the way to correct this situation. Abolish the rule. Make it a guideline. We are looking at coaches who have won 60% of their games, and then we are going to consider other coaches who have yet to meet the 60% threshold. This is so stupid. It's unbelievable. I can't take it anymore. And I don't know that anybody really picked up on this. Yeah, 10 people like it, 12,000 people apparently viewed it. I glanced at the comments that came in 2on3, which were, well, I don't know how many they got. It was considerable. They're a big site. But these people are applauding it. And I understand why they're applauding. So I'm not criticizing the response, that the response was positive because people believe that Mike Leach should be in the Hall of Fame. And so there was a move made that would ensure that he would basically, obviously they're doing this just because of Mike Leach. So the final result is that Mike Leach will be eligible and will be voted into the Hall of Fame. That's great. That should be applauded. I believe he should be in the Hall of Fame. But the action taken by the Hall of Fame is complete idiocy. It is so incredibly short-sighted and stupid. I don't know who's running that place, but this is the stupidest thing. It was stupid. And as I state here, this is incredibly pathetic. Correct the stupid rule by adjusting the stupidity to account for one case. What happens when the next coach has a 59.4 winning percentage? Just abolish the rule, you morons. I wish I had a direct line to the Hall of Fame and could talk to the head of the Hall. That's what I'm going to do. Let's find out who runs the College Football Hall of Fame, and I'm going to obliterate them kindly because I want to get them on the show. I'll do it kindly at first. And then if they don't respond, then I will just go on a rampage. This is just so stupid. It's unfathomable. Okay, let's understand in the case of Howard Schnellenberger that this is why you have to put these things into context, which is going to lead me into my next topic. This is why you have to put numbers into context. Howard Schnellenberger, did he win 60% of his games? No, he didn't win 60% of his games. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? Yes! He should be in the Hall of Fame. Why did he not win 60% of his games? Oh, because he took over one of the worst programs in the country that was like this close to shutting down, and he saved it. You may have heard of this program, the University of Miami. They were this close to shutting down the program. They kept football going, and Howard Schnellenberger saved football at the University of Miami. So obviously his record, it's almost like Tom Landry, Dallas Cowboy great, took over an expansion team, basically had to coach a bunch of factory workers and checkout clerks at A&P to be his football team. So he had a bad record for 5 years. Obviously, he didn't have talent. Same thing, Howard Schnellenberger gets handed one of the worst programs in college football, takes some time to resurrect them, and guess what? He turns them into one of the best programs in college football. Then he goes to Louisville, and Louisville had 5 consecutive losing seasons. What does Howard Schnellenberger do instantly? Winning season within a couple years. He is beating Alabama in the Fiesta Bowl, going 10-1-1. And then he starts up 2 other programs, and FAU, again, you are not going to have a great record when you are starting football programs. I would produce a video on this, but I already have. I'm probably just going to grab it and I'm going to repost it and maybe just put an amended open on it dealing with this garbage. This is just incredibly dumb. This is so incredibly stupid. It's insane how dumb this is. All right. Yes, Howard Schnellenberger was not great at Oklahoma. He was also there for 1 season. What, 1.5? Okay. All right. This will get people riled up. It has on Twitter. So I posted this. Simply asked a question here. Ohio State Michigan series. What is the record since you were born? Please respond below. So to date, when did I post this? The 29th. I don't know what today is. Yesterday or today, I posted this. We are now at 84,000 impressions on this baby. 476 likes, 34 people, God bless you, have reposted it, and 293 comments. This has also brought to the surface some of the most asinine comments in the history of civilization. First of all, we have people running to AI to determine the series record since they've been born. Okay. Don't go to AI. They will spit out the wrong answer. So we have a number of people doing that. And honestly, that's fine. I shouldn't criticize that because you would think that AI, which is supposed to be running the world here in about 3 months, that AI should be able to accurately give you the record of the Ohio State Michigan series since whatever year you want to plug in, but it's incapable of doing that. So people were constantly posting the wrong numbers. And then on top of that, we have Michigan fans who get offended by posts like this, and it's rather amusing. I've been quite amused by this, that Michigan fans, either some of them flunked first grade math, either that, this is the only explanation for it. They either flunked first grade math or they have an agenda and they're just liars. There's no other explanation for it. You know, I'm getting, okay, Michigan leads 23-20. No, they don't. They do not lead 23-20 in the last 43 years. They do not. That is incorrect. Do not just post crap and hope that people believe it. So there we go. And I am not necessarily picking on Michigan fans. I have applauded many of them in my Twitter thread there in the last day for just responding. And certainly I do applaud the Michigan football program, somewhat pending on what else we find out about this Connor Stallion situation, because that case is not yet closed. But for the time being, they have won a national championship in the last 2 years, and they won 3 consecutive Big Ten championships and have beaten Ohio State 4 consecutive years. So congratulations to them. Now, this all-time series lead is a bit of a joke, but it is. They are official games that look like rugby games. So anyway, we've had all sorts of fun. You know, if I went through this thread, This could keep us going for a long, long time. Telling somebody here that they're intellectually disingenuous. Our buddy John Diademo. See, I can appreciate this comment. He says 1815 Ohio State with one tie since he's been alive. Rivalry fairly even since birth. Absolutely. But have enjoyed the last 4 years, of course. So I liked that comment. And I said, congratulations. Michigan has kicked our asses. You own the series to date and currently. See, for all those people that just think I am biased when it comes to this, am I biased? Yeah, everyone is. Our buddy Mike chiming in several times. This makes no sense. This person is 4 years old. Michigan leads the series 4-0 since they were born. So congratulations. You're a child prodigy or you're a liar. Okay. Got this. Thank you. I love this. Grad 95. Simply answering the question. Not that I didn't say. Anyone can certainly add whatever context they would like to it. But I appreciate the honest reply. Those are scarce. Michigan owns it right now for sure. Absolutely. Got our buddy Chuck Haggerty throwing in the series since he was born in 1964. So yes, if you are 7 or younger, then Michigan leads the series for that time frame, or if you're over the 104 years old. And it just goes on. And so we're having fun with this. But we have had so many people like this person. AI. They go to AI. AI is wrong. I have to let them know. Don't trust AI. It's garbage at numbers. Do the math yourself like we did in the Stone Ages. Since 1986, Ohio State leads 20-17. And I love when people tell us what numbers matter. We have this intelligent gentleman here, Scooble. Oh, Scooble. Pitches for the Tigers, right? For the Cy Young. I did not put that together before. And he's a moron. Would love any of these people to come in and debate me. But again, got some classy people here. And I mean that sincerely. Our buddy Cliff mentions right there. He's looking forward to Michigan continuing to win, tie up the rivalry since he's been alive. Awesome. So we could go on and on with that. It's fun stuff. Join us on Twitter. And if I got this kind of engagement every day, let's see what we got here. Got 85,000. We've got 85,000 impressions on this post. You need about 600,000 a month, I believe, to make money. That's what Twitter has told me. All right, folks, we do appreciate you being here, the voice of college football. I had so much I wanted to get to, but we're going to go through. This stuff can wait till Monday with the SEC kickoff times, and we went through the Big Ten. So if you're just joining us, please join us for the start of the show with Stephen M. Smith of Bama Standard, and I go on my rant about Mike Leach in the Hall of Fame, and we talk about the 5+11. Be looking at a video that I'm going to post that's going to run through the 5+11 and the 6+10, because consider those Sankey is proposing a 5+11. The 6+10 would have been the same version of that before the Pac-12's demise. All right, folks, do appreciate you being here. Making on back next Monday. You will probably not see me until Monday unless something pops up that I want to talk about, and be looking out for that 5+11 video right here at the Voice of College Football. On the way out, please like the video and subscribe and you guys have a great, great weekend.